Hi guys, please like, share and subscribe. And if you want full course for any actuarial subject, visit theactuarialguy.com or WhatsApp on this number. Thank you. Okay, now let's start with the fourth assignment, and in this I want to quickly discuss a couple of things. So yeah, let's talk about these. We were done till here, this point. Now before getting into the questions, let's just create a copy of the existing sheet. Now see, I've told you a couple of ways to copy your sheets. Let me tell you one more which is super helpful in the IA exam. In the IA exam, you're not allowed to use the right mouse click. Okay, right click is disabled. So the way to copy or duplicate a sheet, you can't right click and then click on move or copy and then copy. What you need to do is you need to click or press the control key. Once you press the control key and you drag this sheet, you will see this small file like icon, and then you can drag it anywhere and that will create a duplicate copy of the sheet. See, a duplicate was created. So all you need to do is press control down and then just drag. Okay, press control and then drag. Okay, so yeah, this is how you can create duplicates. Okay, now let's just delete this useless duplicate and let's delete this one. Okay, if you want to delete a sheet without using the right click, there is also a way for that. So let's say you by mistake created this duplicate. Okay, so you pressed hold or held down control and then dragged it, and then you created this duplicate, but you did not want it. Now how do you delete it without using the right click? So you go to home menu, and then there's this section called as delete. You can just click this drop down from here and click on delete sheet. Okay, or you can also use your alt based shortcut. So that will be alt H uh, D, and then to delete the sheet you can just press S, and that will delete the sheet. Okay, so these are some of the neat tricks which are very useful in the IA exam, right? A lot of times questions require you to do the same working again and again over different sheets, so this is super helpful. Okay, now let's delete all of these columns. Okay, and let's start working on assignment number 4. So assignment number 4 says we are looking at logical functions. uh, so create a flag column high risk if claims are greater than premiums and age is over 40, else low risk. Okay, so you just want to create this sort of a flag which says high risk or low risk, and the condition for high risk is that the claim is greater than premium and age is over 40. So two conditions are there, uh, and both of them need to be satisfied for high risk to come in. So for this you need the AND function. Okay, let's say I want to add this column called as risk level. Okay, and then for this the condition is if uh, age is over, what was it again, 50, age is over 50, but you have another condition as well. So what you'll do is you'll use AND within if. So you can just use AND. Okay, and under AND you can put as many conditions as you want. AND will give a value true only if all the conditions are satisfied, right? So let me show you what AND does first. Okay, so age is over 50 and claim is greater than premium. So now if both of these conditions are satisfied, this will give true, right? Otherwise it will give a false. So here since your claim is greater than premium but age is not over 50, but in the next one as well the claim is not greater than premium. So is there somewhere it's satisfied? Yes, I think here in row number 8 it would be satisfied. So if you see, row number 8 is true because both the conditions are satisfied, right? So that is AND for you. Okay, now what we want around AND is we want to put an if this condition holds true, right? Then what do we want to do? See, this will automatically give true, so you don't need to write anything else. You just need to give the value of true, and that is high risk. this is the value I want the output to give. Otherwise, I want it to give low risk. So wherever your AND function resulted in a true, only there will you get a high risk. Otherwise, you will get a low risk. Okay. So see, this is what has happened. Okay. So this is what you get. High risk where both the conditions are satisfied. Okay. Moving on. So this is lecture 4 for you. Right. So that's how you create this flag. Let's look at the next one. Add a column good customer if a policy is renewed or age is below 40. Okay. So now this is either or. If even if one of the conditions is satisfied, we can call them a good customer, right? And what I'll do is I'll just say the column can be called good customer, and this will be equal to 1 if the policy is renewed or age is below 40, 0 otherwise. Okay, that's the condition. So I will add this column now. It's called good customer. Okay. So now instead of both the conditions being satisfied, now I want one of the conditions to be satisfied. So this is a case for or instead of and. So what we'll use is or. Now what are the two conditions for or? If the policy is renewed, okay, so the first condition is that your renewal is equal to yes, okay, or the customer is under 40. Okay, so D2 is less than 40. If any one of these conditions is satisfied, you will get a true, otherwise you will get a false. Right, so if you see in the first one, none of the conditions are true. Age is not below 40 and there's no renewal. But in the second one, there is a renewal even though age is above 69, right? So this is an or condition. Now what you want for good customer is that if this condition is satisfied, then you want to put 1, else you want to put 0, right? So the value of true is 1, otherwise it's 0, and that's it. So for all the good customers, I'll just get a 1 where any one of the condition is satisfied. See, here it was and because we wanted both of the conditions to be satisfied for high risk, and otherwise we wanted it to be low risk. Okay. And here in case of good customer, we wanted it any one of the conditions to be satisfied for them to be a good customer. Now any column you create for two conditions using and, you can always create for or. How do you do it? Right, let me show you creating the same column for risk level using an or condition, okay, instead of and. So what I'll do this time is that I'll say, okay, you're telling me that if the customer is aged over 50 or and the claim is greater than the premium, then I want them to be high risk, right? I can flip the condition and say, I can say that this condition is equivalent to, so let me tell you what I'm talking about. So if claim is greater than premium and age is greater than 50, this implies this implies high risk. Okay, this is the condition. This is the same as the opposite condition being there for low risk. Okay, so what I'll do is if premium is greater than claim or age is below 50, less than equal to, right, here also I can take a less than equal to. So yeah, so if you see this and you apply a low risk to it, okay, right, and you say otherwise high risk, okay, These two conditions are equivalent. So any condition you write with and with two variables or two conditions, you can always write the opposite with or, and it implies the same thing, right? So here what I'm saying is that if claims exceed the premium and age is greater than 50, I will call it high risk, which means that if premiums are greater than equal to claims, or age is less than equal to 50, right? Any one of these conditions is met, I will apply low risk, otherwise I'll apply high risk. These two conditions are equivalent, and let me show you that. So now what I'll do is I'll modify this to just give, I'll use an or instead. This is or, and now I change this sign with less than equal to, this sign also I change with less than equal to, and this leads to low risk or high risk otherwise. You see, you get the same results. Okay, so any condition you write with and, you can write with or if there are just two conditions, right? So that holds. Let's move on. Okay, now I want to go over these data transformation questions. The first one is round the profit per policy to nearest 100 rupees. Okay, so let's do this. So first let's just get the profit again. Profit is your premium minus claim here. Okay. Now see, there's a function in Excel called as round, which is this. Okay. And if you look at the function properties or function arguments, you would see that it just tells you like what is the number you want to round to the nearest number of digits, and number of digits is the digit to which you want to round. Negative rounds to left of the decimal point, 0 to the nearest integer. So this might sound slightly complex. Let me just simplify it for you. So let's say I have a number which is 32789.56789. Okay, this is the number I'm looking at, and let me fully expand it, right? So this is the number I'm looking at. Okay, now let's say I want to round it to the nearest two decimal value. Okay, so two decimal rounding, which is very common, it will be round. Okay, and this I will take to two decimals. So the second argument, number of digits, is just how many decimals you want to round it to. Two decimal rounds it to 0.57, because this was 567, so that's closer to 57, that's why it went to 57, right? Now let's say I want to do a one decimal rounding. So how will I modify this formula? I will just take, instead of this 2, I will just make the number of decimal places 1. So it goes to 32789.6, right? Because uh, obviously 0.57 is closer to 0.6, right? As compared with 0.5, right? So that is how you do a one decimal rounding. Now let's say you want to round it off to the nearest integer. So that will just become, again, you copy the entire thing and then you just edit it. Now you want to round to 0 decimal places, so you put 0. So now this rounds to the nearest integer, right? Similarly, if you want to go to the nearest multiple of 10, right? So this was nearest multiple of 0.1, this was nearest multiple of 0.01, this is the nearest multiple of 1, this is the nearest multiple of 10. So how will it change? It will just change with, instead of using 1 here, I will use this as uh, or instead of using 0 as I did in the last case, I would just use a -1. So it rounds up to the nearest multiple of 10. So you see this pattern holding. Now if you want to round to the nearest multiple of 100, then how you do it is -2, right? So on and so forth. So you see what pattern is emerging here, right? So now in this case, you've been told that you want to round to the nearest multiple of 100, right? And what factor? Profit, right? So let's do that. So this is our profit. So profit rounded to nearest multiple of 100. Okay. Okay. So how do you do it? So it'll just be equal to you take the round function and then you take this and then you say -2. Okay. So nearest multiple of 100 is done. Okay. So that's how it works. Now that is if you want to round to nearest multiple, but sometimes you don't want to round to the nearest multiple. Sometimes you want to round up or round down. For example, when I'm talking about 3 to 7, 8, 9.56. Now, when I rounded it to the nearest integer, it went to 32790, which is obvious, right? But the point is that sometimes you want to round down. You want to come to, you just want to apply the greatest integer function, let's say. So you just want to just get the integer part of it, which is 32789. So for that, you can use round down. Instead of round, you use round down. The arguments are the same, right? So now if I want to round down it and the number of digits is 0, it will just come to the lower integer. If I wanted to take it to the next one, then I'll round up. So this is nearest and this is rounding down. Okay. And you can do it the same way with the round up, and you can do it the same way with the other number of decimal points that you want to work with, right? So that's how this round up, round down function works. Now the next one is calculate the absolute deviation of each claim from the average claim. Okay, so how do you do that? Now in order to do that, firstly you need to get the average claim. So let's get the average claim amount. Okay, so it's just the average function applied to the claim column. Okay, which is fine, easy enough. Now you want to create get the deviations, and you want to get the absolute deviation. Okay, so in order to get the deviation, or let's finally get the absolute deviation directly. Okay, so for this what you do is, for the deviation you would just take the claim, and from that you would subtract whatever is the average claim and make it fixed, right? So that's how simple it would be. But here in this case, you want to get the absolute, right? So in a lot of these cases, it could come out to be negative, right? So you don't want that. So you'd use a function which is called as absolute, which is ABS. ABS. Okay, that's what it does, and that's it. That's all you need to do. Okay, so now you have the absolute deviation. ABS goes to takes it to absolute. This is basically a modulus function. Now, next they're saying convert each policyholder's age into full decades. Okay, so 45 goes to 4, 62 goes to 6, so on and so forth. Uh, we'll use round down this time. Okay, so we'll say age, complete age in decades. So how do you do this? You use a round down, okay, and you want to go to how many number of digits? You want to go to the tens place, right? So that is just -1, and then you divide this by 10, right? So that gives you the decade. So what just happened? Let me explain. Uh, we just took the age, right? We rounded it down, okay, which gives the uh, rounded it down to the previous tens value. So for 69, it would become 60, right? 42 would become 40, 48 would become 40, 50 would stay 50, 49 would become 40, right? So I'm just removing, essentially just removing this uh, additional digit after the tens place, right? That's why we use round down. So I'm rounding downward to the tens place, that is round down d2 comma -1. Then since I wanted it in decades, I have it in 10 years now. Decades is that divided by 10, so you just divide it by 10, that's it. So that is your complete age in decades. Okay, so that is something I wanted to discuss. Now finally let's do the last thing, which is goal seek. Okay, so quickly discuss goal seek. I'm sure many of you know this function already, but let me just cover it for the sake of completion, because we have covered a lot of other simple functions as well. So if let's say you want to get the premium, the NPV, the net present value, to be 100,000. Okay, now you know the formula for net present value. It's basically the present value of my inflows minus the present value of my outflows. That's very clear, right? For me here, as an insurance company, the inflows are the premiums, the outflows are the claims. Now let's say the premiums are received right now. They're saying the premiums are received right now, okay, at time 0. But the claims are paid 1 year from now. Okay, so claims are at time 1, so you need to discount them for 1 year. Premiums you don't need to discount. What would be the interest rate that would make the NPV as 100,000? Okay, so what is NPV? NPV would be discounted value of premium minus claims. Okay, and we want this to be 100,000. Okay, that's what we are looking for. Okay, now let's just work this out. So how does this work? uh, let's do an alt IC, and here we go for NPV of or just name it as NPV. Okay, so you say how do you calculate NPV? Firstly, so my premium is taken as it is because it's right now, but the claims need to be discounted for 1 year, so it's times 1 plus, let's take any interest rate. Okay, let's say it's 10% to the power of -1. Okay, that's how I calculate the NPV. Okay, now one thing is this 10% I've taken like as a fixed number. Instead of this, let's say the interest rate is taken as 10% here. Okay, this is your interest rate number, which is 10%. So instead of using 10% directly, what I can do is I can reference this to the cell, which is S. This is S1. So $S$1. Okay, yeah. So the same number comes. Now I just drag it down. Okay. So these are my present values. So these are PVs, or you can write them as NPV of each one of the policies. Okay. Now the total NPV or NPV of the project is would just be the sum of all of these NPVs. Okay. So this is the profit you're or the total NPV you're looking at 101,1124.5, right? Now, how do you make this NPV 100,000, and what would be the interest rate for that, right? So we are talking in hypotheticals. We are saying what would be that interest rate that would make this NPV as uh, 10%. Right now, of course, you can just write like 9% and see, okay, it's going to 96,993. Okay, what is happening at 9.5%? Okay, 99,038, right? What if I go to 9.8%, right? Then it's okay, it's almost 100,000, and then maybe I'm very close, right? So maybe I do 9, and I see that increasing it is reducing the NPV, so I'll do a 9.685, right? Maybe like, okay, no, so I need to increase, right? So maybe I can do like 9.83, right? And I'm okay, not going in the right direction, so maybe 9.77, or uh, yeah, something like that. Okay, very close. So 9.7, maybe 65, right? Very close. So you can keep on figuring it out and try to reach 100,000. Or what you can do is you can use the goal seek function. How do you use the goal seek function? You go to data, you go to what if analysis, you go to goal seek. Okay, what goal seek does is it can change the value of any cell to a particular value. So I want to change the value of this cell to 100,000. By changing cell, I want to change this interest rate to get to such a level uh, that my NPV becomes 100,000. So that's all I'm going to do. So now you just press OK. So what happens is that I get my interest rate, which is 9.72991%, right? Which made this NPV 100,000. So that is how goal seek works. Okay, that's all for this video. Thank you.